So there's this huge lie that's floating around the hiring world right now. And it sounds so reasonable that most companies just never even question it. And the lie is this, that if you just send enough LinkedIn messages, post enough job ads, and stay active on the platform, the right people will eventually show up. And look, I get why people believe this. LinkedIn is massive. It's where professionals live. It's where professional connections happen. But here's what I've seen over the last 10 years of placing more than 10,000 employees across hundreds of businesses. The companies that lean the hardest on LinkedIn are often the ones losing the best candidates, and they don't even realize it. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 4 realities that are reshaping how companies hire in 2026. I'm not talking theory, I'm not talking hot takes, just what I'm seeing on the ground every single week. I'm going to get into the real data backed by real companies that are actually winning talent, as well as the ones that wonder why they can't. So, is LinkedIn hiring dead in 2026? Now, I put that question in the title for a specific reason, because a lot of companies are about to find out the hard way that the LinkedIn that they've been relying on doesn't work the way it used to. So, is it dead? I can tell you that the way that most people are using it definitely is. And if you stay to the end, you'll see exactly where LinkedIn fits, where it fails, as well as a hiring strategy that actually works. Ready to dive in? Let's go. Now, here's something that surprises most people when I say it. LinkedIn itself isn't broken. It's just crowded. And those are 2 very different problems. So let me give you some context of what I mean by crowded. LinkedIn has just crossed over 1 billion members globally. That's over 1 billion professionals on a single platform. And the part that matters if you're trying to hire, 89% of recruiters are using LinkedIn as their primary sourcing tool. 89%. That means almost every recruiter your ideal candidate has ever spoken to or heard of is reaching out on the same platform through the same inbox using the same approach. It was only maybe 5 years ago that if you sent a well-written message to a strong candidate on LinkedIn, you had a real shot on getting a response. Today, that same candidate is getting dozens of messages every single week from recruiters, founders, sales reps, and AI chatbots pretending to be all 3. And look, this isn't just my thing. The data backs this up. The average in-mail response rate right now sits between 10 and 20%. That means for every 10 messages that you send to a candidate, 8 to 9 of them are getting completely unanswered. Not even rejected, just unanswered. They never even get read. And the problem that nobody wants to admit is that most of these messages sound exactly the same. They're the same opening line, the same flattery, the same, I came across your profile in the text. And it gets worse from there. And LinkedIn's own research has found that the shortest in-mail messages outperform the longest ones by over 41%, which tells you something really important about what's happening in those inboxes. People aren't reading long messages anymore. They're just scanning and then deleting. So when a candidate sees that wall of text that took you 20 plus minutes to write, it gets the same 2 seconds of attention as the one that was auto-generated. So the question isn't whether LinkedIn works. The question is actually whether your message, your company, your opportunity can cut through a wall of noise that's getting thicker and thicker every single month. So think about it like this for a second. When everyone is using the same platform, the same way, the same strategies, attention now becomes that scarce resource, not the talent itself on the platform. Okay, quick pause before we go deep. If what I'm saying is landing and you want to see exactly how we attract A planners without relying on job boards, I've got a breakdown of my signature method. It's linked below. It's the exact system behind those 10,000 placements I mentioned earlier. Or if you just want more breakdowns just like this one, be sure to subscribe and check out the last video, how to steal top hires from your competitors. It's a really good one that acts as a companion to what we're doing here. All right, let's keep it going because reality 2 is where it starts to get a little uncomfortable. Now, this next one stings a little bit because it challenges something that most hiring managers believe at a gut level, and it's that the best candidates are out there, visible, browsing, and just one good job post away from applying. Let me tell you, they're not. And this isn't just my opinion. The data on this is overwhelming. 71% of today's global workforce are passive candidates. That means that 7 out of 10 professionals are not actively looking for a new job right now. They're not scrolling job boards, they're not clicking easy apply, and they're not updating their resumes on a Sunday night. And it gets even more specific than that. The latest labor reports are showing that only 3.9% of workers are truly actively looking for a new job at any given time. That's it, less than 4%. That's the pool that you're fishing in when you post a job and wait for applications. And the crazy thing is, even though 70% aren't looking, 87% of professionals have said that they're open to hearing about a new opportunity. So the talent is out there. They're just not coming to you. They're waiting to be found, and they're waiting to be convinced. And a job posting on LinkedIn just isn't going to do that. The best people, the ones that would transform your team, they would transform your culture, your revenue, they're already employed, they're already performing, and they're already being quietly approached by 3 or 4 companies that you've never even heard of. But know this, they're not scrolling LinkedIn looking for their next role, and they're not thinking about leaving. Not until someone gives them a reason to. Now, I know to some of you this may feel a little bit confusing because you're probably getting applications coming in. However, nearly 60% of today's employers say their biggest recruiting challenge is receiving too many unqualified applicants. So the applications are coming in, they're just not the right ones. So when your entire hiring strategy is built on applications, on people coming to you, you're not fishing in the deep end. You're fishing in the shallow end and wondering why everything that you catch is small. And the worst part about this strategy is that you'll never know what you missed. You'll never know the full potential. You'll probably fill the role and you'll think it went fine. But the A player who could have changed everything, they never even knew about your opportunity and they never even knew you existed. Now, here's where a lot of companies go wrong in the other direction. They hear what I just said about LinkedIn being too noisy and about candidates being invisible, and they think, got it, I'll just automate my way out of this. More volume, more speed, and AI does the outreach and I do the closing. And I want to be really careful here because I'm not anti-automation at all. I love AI. My company literally built an AI-powered talent platform. So I'm not coming at this from some purist, do everything by hand philosophy. I'm coming at it from the perspective of watching what actually happens when companies deploy automation without a strategy. And that adoption is accelerating fast. Today, 40% of organizations are now actively integrating and experimenting with generative AI in their hiring process, which is up from just 27% only a year ago, which is a huge problem because now more companies than ever are automating their outreach, which means that the inbox is getting even noisier, even faster. So here's what that actually looks like on the receiving end. Let's say you're a strong candidate and you accept a connection request from someone you may or may not know. Maybe I'm a recruiter, maybe I'm a founder, whatever it is, you go ahead and hit accept. And within a fraction of a second, I'm talking instantly, you get hit with a 2-page email that reads like someone's entire company biography. It's their founding story, mission statement, products, features, funding round, team size, values, everything. And somewhere buried at the bottom, after this huge wall of text that has absolutely nothing to do with you, there's a line that says, "We'd love to connect and see if there's a fit." And the candidate knows instantly that this is a message that was written once and fired at 400 people today. There was no pause, there was no thought, there was no consideration of who they were and who they were talking to, just a trigger, a template, and a prayer. And there's data already that's proving what we know intuitively, that generic connection requests on LinkedIn get around a 15% acceptance rate, but personalized ones are getting 45 to 50% acceptance rates. That's not a small difference. That's a 2.5 times multiple just from showing a candidate that you actually looked at their profile before you reached out. Just consider this. A players don't just evaluate your offer, they evaluate your effort. And when your first touch point screams, "I sent this to 400 people today," you've already told that candidate exactly where they rank on your priority list. And here's something that most people just don't understand. Speed without intent doesn't scale hiring. It actually scales rejection. And every bad automated message doesn't just lose you one candidate. It poisons the well for the next real conversation that you may want to have. So you're probably sitting there thinking, Jared, if LinkedIn is too noisy, and if the best people aren't applying, and if automation without a strategy is burning every bridge I set, then what are companies that are actually winning doing differently? And let me tell you what that is. What they're doing differently is that they're building ecosystems. Not talking about funnels, I'm not talking about pipelines, ecosystems, which means they're combining LinkedIn with direct outreach, personal referrals, warm network activation, AI-supported sourcing, and this is the most important piece that most people skip, real human follow-up that makes a candidate feel like a person, not like a lead. And I'll tell you, the numbers don't lie. Companies that combine LinkedIn InMail with other outreach channels are seeing a 287% higher engagement than those just using InMail alone. Let me say that again, 287%. That's a huge difference in result from the same starting point. And the research across thousands of recruiting campaigns shows that multi-channel approaches deliver over 60% better results than relying on any single channel. And that's the difference between filling a role in 3 weeks and still looking after 3 months. So essentially, LinkedIn becomes one channel inside that ecosystem. It's not the foundation, it's not the strategy, It's one lever among several. And when you use it in that way, when it's supporting a system instead of being the system, it actually works better because now your LinkedIn outreach has context behind it. It has a referral warming the path ahead of it and has a follow-up that doesn't sound like everyone else. Remember those employee referrals that I mentioned earlier? They generate 4 times more high-quality candidates than job boards. So that means one warm introduction from someone inside your network is worth more than a dozen cold LinkedIn messages. And look, that's not a knock on LinkedIn. That's just how trust works. So what I'm trying to say is when LinkedIn is your system, you're stuck. And when it's a tool inside your system, it works. And that's the difference between the companies that are struggling to hire in 2026 and the ones that aren't. Now, even if you recognize these problems, fixing them internally without a system usually creates just more work. And most companies just struggle to set this up and execute effectively anyway. But that's exactly what we help companies solve. Through our suite of products and services, we combine the power and efficiency of AI with human expertise to take the pressures of hiring off your shoulders completely. We build a pipeline, we handle sourcing, we filter candidates, and we deliver qualified people ready to have real conversations. So if you want to learn more, book a discovery call with our team. The link for that is in the description below. And if you want to go deeper on exactly how this works in practice, go watch this next video here, how to hire A players in 7 days. Now, that's not a theory video. That's exactly the system we deploy for our clients. It's the same process behind over 10,000 successful placements. It covers everything that we talked about today and more. So go watch that one now. And here's my challenge to you. Before you send another email, before you post another job ad, before you spend another dollar on LinkedIn, go ask yourself this one question. Is this a system or am I just hoping the right person sees this? Because hope is not a hiring strategy. And today is your chance to fix that strategy and get out ahead. And if this video gave you something to think about, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone on your team who needs to hear it. I put out content like this every single week to help businesses hire smarter, and I don't want you to miss what's coming next. So be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.